Welcome to the Saddle Talk Podcast, where country living meets real talk. Authentic stories, meaningful interviews, and down-to-earth wisdom with a little Southern charm. Saddle up! All right, welcome to another episode of the Saddle Talk Podcast, where we talk about hope, faith, and strength, and what is possible when we look beyond the noise. Today, I have a very, very special guest, my uncle, by the way, who is very prominent. And I'm going to give you his, I'm going to give you a little bit about him, a little bit of introduction about him, and then we're going to get started. But we got a special one today. It's going to be really good. Our guest today, his name is Herbert Gooden. He's a trauma-informed stress and anxiety specialist with over 35 years of experience in integrative healing. Herbert also works. His work also blends neuroscience, mindfulness, and embodied practices to help people understand how stress affects the nervous system and how to restore regulation, presence, and resilience. His approach uniquely bridges science and spirituality in practical, compassionate ways. Now, if that doesn't strike your curiosity, I don't know what will. When I was actually reading it, I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to get him on. I want to hear about this." So, without further ado, welcome, Herbert. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Travis, and thank you so much for inviting me today. And I've already watched some of your other podcasts, and I'm talking about great work. So far, I've been enjoying the guests that you've been having, and
Okay.
so I'm excited to be with you today.
I appreciate it. I'm glad that you're here today and took time out of your very busy day to join me. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. How did you get started in your profession now? Because I remember back when I was like 6 years old, you had a bike shop. So, what was your journey from a bike shop to what we're doing right now?
Well, believe it or not, I turned 70 this year.
Oh,
70 this year, right?
okay,
And of
congrats.
course, I can't give you 70 years, right, in this
Right,
time that we
right,
have today. So we might have to do a series eventually,
right.
right? Yeah, but fast moving forward, from the time I can remember, as you said, when you were younger, I did have a bike shop. And, that was after the fact that, basically I had received a full scholarship from Tuskegee myself in
Right.
engineering, but I didn't finish. I came out of there my freshman year, and then I came back to Birmingham and got into technical school
Uh-huh.
and Bessemer State Technical College because I've always was good with my hands
Right.
and had a mind to really work with things, woodwork in high school, all types of electronic events and things. And so after that, I just started working like everyone else.
Uh-huh.
And then over a period of time, I opened up a bicycle shop, as you said, once. I also used to be a contractor. I used to design and build cable systems.
Right. You actually build in the house in Birmingham. You built the downstairs. I remember
That's
you.
correct.
Yeah. Jack of all trades. I remember you used to have
Yeah,
that motorcycle too.
that's right. I had a motorcycle, went through those phases, as you might say. But yeah, kind of fast forwarded. So I got into the technical aspect and got into communications. And for several years, I worked as a designer and also as a corporate. I used to travel throughout the Southeast, training personnel in the communications uh, sector.
Uh-huh.
And so what happened with that, it was very, I would say, very prosperous for me. And over the years, I moved into upper management. As I mentioned, I started traveling in the Southeast. Then I also started running facilities for them, and
Uh-huh.
in this process now, because you remember I was at the bicycle shop,
Right.
gave up the bicycle shop because I was single when that started.
Uh-huh.
But once I had a little one on the way, I went ahead and gave up the shop. And then, of course, my wife and I got married.
Uh-huh.
And so all these other things, fast forward, moved up pretty fast within the industry. And so, but what happened, I say a little over 20 years ago, cut off like about 40 years of
Yeah.
this.
Oh
But
yeah, we know you got a wealth of knowledge and experience. So yeah, we that'll be a series. I'll do the Gooden series a little later.
yes, yes. But so over 20 years ago, what happened? You asked me, how did I begin this, right?
Hmm.
Well, this began with my inner journey.
Gotcha.
As I said before, the industry I was in, I was moving up very rapidly. It was outsourcing companies, and this was the time when a lot of companies started using contractors to start running their businesses for them, customer service as well as the repair part of it. And so I was able to move very rapidly up in it.
Uh,
But at the same time, what was happening, although I was competent, my system began to experience dysregulation.
okay.
Now, at that time, I didn't know anything about dysregulation, what that even meant. But I was experiencing a lot of stress. I was experiencing a lot of anxiety, and it started affecting me physically as well as my mental health.
Hmm.
And so there came a point, a crossroads, where my mental health needs weren't being met.
Gotcha.
And at that time, you can imagine this is over 20 plus years ago, and we're still getting comfortable, especially us as African Americans, with reaching out to resources for our mental health
Right.
as well as our physical health also. And so what happened is during that period of time, the stress and anxiety became so much and so heavy that I started to use alcohol and other types of calming uh, things, as far as maybe pills or
Uh-huh.
something to calm me down for sleep. And so basically, I got into a tailspin, started spinning around, didn't know what was going on with me, thought I was alone. And though I was competent, competence does not equal a regulated system. It doesn't
Gotcha.
help you to regulate your system. And so what what was needed was I had to reach outside of myself to some resources to start helping me become more familiar with my inner man, my inner operations physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So each one of those pieces need to be met for me to start being in a space where I was able to start calming my system. And once I started being able to calm my system started becoming regulated. And then I started becoming more clarity.
Uh-huh.
And then I got into a space where I was able to function better.
Hey, so at what point did you get up the nerve to? Because I feel like that's what is like stopping a lot of men from going to get help. Because when we're younger, we always taught, hey, you got to be tough. You better not cry. You better not. You know what I mean? You don't express yourself around your wife because you don't want her to worry because you're the man of the household or you this. But I mean, you do need that outlet because it can lead into other things. So at what point, or did you just was like, you know what, I'm just gonna buckle down and just go get some help because this is getting out of control while putting your ego aside, because sometimes that
Right,
can be hard. Like I'm a man, I can figure this out. You know what I mean?
right, right. Well, I tell you, to be honest with Trey, that's a very good question. And we say within the recovery industry, we say, it's one or two ways that someone can come to their senses. They either end up in the hospital, tragic accident, or death itself, or incarcerated. And with me, my health started to be very much affected, right? And then also my marriage life started becoming very dysfunctional from my perspective, and what it was doing to me, it was spreading to my family as well.
Uh-huh.
And so finally, one time, I finally realized that this wasn't a way to be living. I knew something was going on wrong with me. And I like to share also the fact, yes, I was in the church and I was doing all the things that we've been instructed to do, but yet and still I was had a spiritual deficit at that time, and that just wasn't doing it.
Uh-huh.
And so I finally reached out to my wife at that time, Tanya, and I told her, I say, look here, I'm in a space now that I need some help. I need some help.
Uh-huh.
And so she and I got together. We talked and we did pray together, and that's what led me to some resources on the road, as we say,
Gotcha.
the restoration. And that was the
Gotcha.
beginning. That was the beginning. And so I think we all have to come to a point in some type of way that there has to be something that moves the needle inside of us where we don't mind surrendering, because
Uh-huh.
that's what's critical. And we do. I know myself as an African American man has a problem with the word surrender.
Yeah.
Yeah, my ego, of course,
Right.
especially in our environment growing up, that
Right.
couldn't appear weak, couldn't appear soft, and especially
Right.
couldn't appear as though something's wrong with our mind.
Right, right.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
I
that
know. So, and yeah, I do remember, like, growing up, like in the church and all that, and you were a part of that. So, like, when it comes to what you do because you're at UAB, right?
I have a private practice at the Children's Hospital of Alabama.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah, and then also I do some work with the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa Veterans Affairs Hospital. Uh,
okay.
and then I have private clients as well.
So how did you go from all of that tech and construction and things like that to going into, like, therapy and spirituality and things like that? Because um, I mean, with you being a very like hands-on person, most people will probably think that you would go and do spirituality like with like building something, like maybe building cathedrals or something like that, or
Yeah, right, right,
I don't know,
right,
building
right.
crosses or something like that. You know what I mean? So what
Yeah.
made you like go into to the realm of where you are now?
Okay. And what happened is, as I said before, I started reaching out and
Uh-huh.
finding resources to start addressing my mental health, but at the same time, also addressing, I say, my spirituality, not
Okay.
religion, but spirituality. And so that was a church called Unity, and within that organizations, they had teachers and mentors available to actually work with you. Uh, Learning more about prayer, learning more about meditation, learning more about contemplation, spirituality, things on how to apply these teachings to an individual.
Wow.
And once I became a member, I became a charter member. I became a chaplain there. So I
Gotcha.
started having access to things that was helping my mental health. And so I started serving also within that ministry. And so once that started, and I began to work with people by phone or either in person, and over a period of time, every now and then I will hold hands with individuals. They'll feel like they like to, touch
Uh-huh.
hands on their shoulders. And so that's how first I started having some actual consciousness,
Uh-huh.
spirit from a spirit aspect.
Uh-huh.
And where I felt as though I was truly connected with the individual that I was praying for or meditating with. And so, as I said, I was pretty much at the top of, in the old, we used to say top of our game. I was at
Yeah.
the game, and so was my profession. And so I had a opportunity to move up to Memphis. Everything was going to be paid for by the company. I brought my wife up there. We were going to move. And then I finally just broke down to her and let her know how it was affecting me. And so Tanya told me, if I wanted to, I could walk away from that. And I walked away from that. But at the
Uh,
same time, I just so happened had started uh, taking classes in massage therapy.
gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. Okay. And so it is kind of morphed into what I do today, because once I started taking clinical massages, which was what? Using my hands again,
Right. There you
right?
go. Yeah.
Right? And so once I became a massage therapist, I was a chaplain, and you see how they start coming together. I was a
Right.
chaplain, then massage therapy, and then as time went on, I started working with resources via internet, some of your top neuroscience, some of your top people in neurobiology, somatic work, and of course, a lot of the offerings that were online, working with mental health as well.
Uh-huh.
So over a period of time, through classes, through workshops, through retreats, I started working with individuals, and then it kind of exposed my calling, because I figured we all is a seed of something in
Uh-huh.
us that we can become great at.
Right.
But we do have to move into different environments for that to take place. And in my case, because of my failing physical, my emotional, mental, and spiritual life, that's how I ended up on that journey. That was the beginning. And I haven't looked back yet.
So how was it like you mentioned that, with your wife you broke down. So a lot of men out there, you probably don't feel like they have anybody to talk to and always have to feel like, that tough exterior, in front
Yes.
of their wife or girlfriend or, daughter or whoever it be. So how was that, or how did you get up enough courage? Because, most of the time, we don't want to, like, break down or, like, show any kind of, I don't want to say weakness, around, like, your wife, because we always want to be strong and things like that. But like, so how was that for you? Just like open it up and just like, you know what, I'm just gonna let it all out.
Well, I had realized I was broken. And brokenness doesn't have to mean a weakness,
Right. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And so I was broken. I was in a place, as you say, as my nephew, there were always high hopes for me and for my life, from my family, from your mom, my sister and all. But I had gotten in a place where I seemed very, very far away from it. And so one morning, I woke up to a message, uh, one morning to a message by G.E. Patterson,
Uh-huh.
and it was called "It Was Not in My Dream," and he told a story about how Joseph dreamed that he would one day be, riding in the chariot with Pharaoh. He'll be ruling over his fathers and his brothers, and they thought he was crazy. And in between that, he ended up in some very dark places,
Uh-huh.
right? But it was in his dream that he'll leave one day. And then, of course, the story goes on, which he did, although he had a lot to go through first, right? And so I connected with that because the place that I was in, physically, emotionally, and mentally and spiritually down, that wasn't in my dream. That wasn't in the hope of what my family, as well as myself and other peers, had for me. And so I was broken, and I had to go ahead and accept that. And once I accepted that, then that's when things open up for me,
Gotcha.
right? And then that's when the tide shifted. And so I think you have to come to that point where you are broken, and it doesn't have to be as dramatic.
Uh-huh.
Some people have it might be a car accident,
Right.
hospital. It doesn't have to be like that all the time. Some people
Uh-huh.
have some soul awakenings, some brokenness that might not have taken them, such of a dark place, a place where they feel helpless. But for me, that's what it took,
Right.
because I was a very arrogant young man, and I didn't even realize that I was an arrogant young man until I went and looked at my transcript, which they don't supposed to let you see in high school. And on there, one of my counselors had written down that Herbert is very arrogant, and I didn't even know what that word meant. But I was good at covering up what's going on with me inside, and so that's what gets back to what you're saying. You had to let all the facade, all the covering, all that. I had to let all that start to dissolve in order for me to reach out to get the help that I
So
need.
so on your journey, because another thing about you and my mom as well, like you all read a lot.
Which
like extreme amount, a lot. I tell my
I do.
mom like she hoards books. I'm like it's just books all over the place. So what was some of the most influential books or like things that you read like that has to do with you that helped guided you on your journey? I mean, other than the Bible, but you know, it's I'm pretty sure there were other books out there that you read. Or I mean, you don't have to name them all, but like you know, maybe like your top two or three.
Travis, I have to. If I try to name all, that'd be over 500 plus books. You see my basement. I mean, I got a whole wall of books.
Yeah, I know, man. Y'all read like no tomorrow, man.
I know, and I love it, and I thrive on it because I got away from reading as things start, going awry. First my personal life, and
Hmm.
when I came back to it, I just had this insatiable thirst for reading, right? And so, one book that really helped me out a lot is the Emmett Fox's Sermon on the Mount, bec-
Okay.
because it's not just it's Sermon on the Mount is in Matthew chapters 5 through 7. Emmett uh, Emmett was able to delineate that. He was able to clarify that enough, and it's I always say strike the gold out of it where you can actually apply those chapters to your life,
Hmm.
right? And it was kind of outside of the normal understanding of the Sermon on the Mount.
Hmm.
But what I got out of it, which empowers my practices now, both the somatic practices as well as the mindfulness that I teach and instruct and train people with, is that Jesus was a teacher, and that was a great power that he had. And the Sermon on the Mount is about teaching about the inner man.
Okay.
It's about the inner man. And Emmett has a way. I've read it over 11 times. I've taken my son through it 1.5 times, but it's a way to apply it to your life. Another great book from the Eastern teaching is The Untethered Soul
Hmm.
by Michael Singer. I'm trying to think it's either Singer or Singular, but I think it's Singer. And he comes from an Eastern perspective.
Hmm.
Same thing. A lot of Buddhist psychology is about the inner journey, right?
Hmm.
And so those two, I'm just highlighting those two particulars because one comes from a Western concept about Christianity and our belief and our faith,
Hmm.
and the other comes from an Eastern Buddhist concept, which is that just like Christ, suffering exists. We all suffer.
Hmm.
Then we need to attain the things to help relieve our suffering. And then we help others suffering. And
Hmm.
so from both teachings, those two books have had a tremendous impact on my life that just come top of mind at this time.
That's pretty good, man. Like, I mean, you got me over here in the zone. Like, I think I want to go out there and probably read those books. I always say whenever I go to my mom's house, it's like a library, and every now and then she'll catch me like trying to get a book. She's like, put my book back.
Yes. Well, one day when you come visit us, I'm gonna let you go down my library and let you pick out anything you want because I'm giving books. Some mentees of mine have come here to stay with me. I just tell them go down and pick up whatever book you want because I'm reading all the time and I need some space. And that's just come down here and get this whatever you need.
Hey, so what was one so what is one some of the like the most inspirational things that you've gotten out of like your practice, like you know that really like was like, okay, this is really what I'm supposed to be doing, like people that you've helped and you've changed their lives and things like that, you know, is there a time where you were just kind of like, wow, you know, it kind of the way you help them and their story and how you help them get through it, like you know, is there any time that just stands out?
Well, again, I've worked with over 15,000 people.
Oh wow, man. That's
Over
pretty impressive.
15,000. Yeah, I stopped counting when I got probably about 15,000.
Wow.
And
So now
and
do they just seek you out or you do you go out and you have to like, you know, vet people or I mean, now they probably request you now, probably.
Yeah, on the hospital side, of course, we have clients that are come via the hospital. You know, the
Hmm.
patients, the children's hospital, the children who are sick, their parents. Then, of course, the medical staff. You know, I work with them as well. My clients that I work as a guide with, you know, I don't use the term coaching. I use guide,
Okay.
and the reason being I use guide is I'm trying to allow them and their system to start regulating, right? To get
Hmm.
regulated. And in order for me to do that, I have to be in a regulated place.
Gotcha.
Okay. And so the stories that are ongoing, it's not just like one particular story because there's so many.
Gotcha.
But when I hear those individuals realize that they've moved from stress, anxiety, or they're in a better place where they can handle adverse situations.
Hmm.
Because through our work together, as I've been guiding them and teaching them about their body system, they start applying these different skills to themselves and they start noticing the clarity
Gotcha.
in them. And so it takes time. Each individual is different. But I would say that's when I see that on a regular basis, on occasions, as well as with the individuals at the practice at the hospital. Though I experience a lot of aha moments. It's just so many
Hmm.
individuals that I've been able to work with.
Are there
It,
any times where it's just like, okay, well, this gonna take a little longer than I thought?
well, for instance, the ones I'm working with that I work with as a guide,
Mm.
uh, you know, uh, on the initial start of it, they're understanding, for instance, that this is a journey,
Oh, okay.
and they also have the understanding that they didn't get there overnight.
Oh,
They
yeah.
they're in
The
a in
same
a
thing I tell
sprint.
people when working out. I'm like, you didn't gain it overnight. You're not gonna lose it overnight. It's a process.
Yes,
It's consistency. It's
that's
consistency
correct.
over a long period of time. Even on the boring days, you still got to stay consistent, and that's when you'll see results.
That's right, and that's why I always explaining to them with the ones that I work with as their guides, all those turn into friends. So all the clients that I work with, because it's a very intimate work, they become very open. The more they share, the more they become open, the more
Mhm.
we have access to some things that they're not aware of.
Right.
And it all is because people are in trances. They're not aware of how they're thinking,
Gotcha.
how they are reacting. So the most important part of what I do with individuals are is start teaching them how to look inside and become aware on the activity of their mind.
So
And
actually,
what
getting them to be honest with themselves.
yes, and a lot of times if they're in trance, they're not even aware that they're doing certain things, certain
Gotcha.
activities, certain things that they'll find themselves doing repeatedly. They
Uh-huh.
just don't know. So they have to become aware and we have to put a break on that. And so and it's a process because we always try to see what's going on outside,
Uh-huh.
but the greatest trip is on the inside.
Do you think you're gonna step back in the pulpit? You're gonna keep your ministry in this form, or do you ever want to get like back in the church and do like traditional ministry?
Well, last time I was in the pulpit probably was a little more about 4 or 5 years
Oh,
ago.
okay, that's not okay.
Yeah.
That's not as long as I
Yeah,
thought
'cause
it was.
right, but I did, for instance, but you're exactly right because I first became licensed in 91 and I was ordained in 93.
Right.
And then after I became a chaplain, I asked to walk away from, traditional
Uh-huh.
preaching from the pulpit. And as you said, that's what it is. It evolved into what I do today. And I thought I went back one more time just to see if that was it.
Uh-huh.
But but Travis, what I do today
Uh-huh.
is what I know I'm supposed to be doing today.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Mhm.
And it, and it's no greater delight than working with individuals or groups and being an instrument. And because of my story. See,
Gotcha.
see, you can't, Earth, Wind, and Fire say you can't give what you don't have.
Right.
Right?
You're
So,
right.
for instance, when I'm guiding individuals, I'm only guiding them about what has taken place in my life, in my story.
Uh-huh.
And I only utilize tools that I use personally.
Uh-huh.
So, which it makes it very easy for me as far as what I do, because all I'm doing is telling the story, listening to their story, and we're just trying to see what resources that God has blessed me with to be restored
Uh-huh.
that could possibly start them on their journey, carry them on their journey, and hopefully they could help someone someday.
Have you ever thought about like like on the collegiate level, like, because a lot of people they're stressed out in college or like they're going through stuff because in college, I know people say you find yourself in high school or whatever, but I don't know, if you go to college, that's a whole nother level of trying to discover who you are while you're trying to maintain classes because in high school you still can go home, like, unless you go to school like right down the street from you. But if you go away to go to college, you pretty much on your own. You're trying to balance this newfound freedom. Then you're still trying to have some type of structure and discipline. And then you're meeting all these people from all around the United States while trying to maintain your classes. So, I remember when I was in school, I would have a lot of people that not that they weren't smart, it's just that they would be so stressed out and burned out that they would just leave and go back home, and probably just
Mhm.
go to, a school, a community college. And not saying a community college is bad or anything, but it's just because that they just couldn't handle the pressure and the stress and just all of the newness and the different people and all that. So is yours just for like, client based, or do you reach out to like schools and things like that, colleges or like businesses?
Well, for instance, I work with business people. No, I have
Oh, okay,
clients now.
okay.
Yes.
Well,
So yeah,
you did say you
yeah.
do group business and stuff like that too.
Well,
But do they ever get you to
I
come
work with
in and speak
individual.
or anything?
Go ahead.
Do they
What was
ever
it?
get you to come in and speak or, you
Yes,
know?
yeah, just about, yeah. Because that's a very good question.
Mhm.
First thing about uh the youth. So within the children's hospital facility, I do work with the kids as well. If they're under 18, their parents are allowed to come to my practice with them,
Okay.
and I teach them mindfulness techniques and things to help them calm their body systems down.
Gotcha.
Because they are in the duress, of course, because of their illnesses and all. And then also, as I said before, I work with the parents uh, of the kids who are in there for some medical treatment also.
Mhm.
Uh, with businesses, that's where all my referrals come from.
Gotcha.
Yes, and because it is a particular type of work, and and you know how we talk not so much about ego, but everyone has a right to their privacy. And so basically that's the reason why the referrals come in, because
Oh, okay, okay.
if someone feels though they've trusted her, but they figure like as though
Right,
have some,
right.
so that's how I get actually acquire my professional clients. And that's
Uh-huh.
in the medical field. I've worked with individuals and also people who are in other traditional businesses.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay. So so like on your journey to where you are now, like what lessons have you learned and what lessons would you give to someone who is basically probably wants to, go into the profession you're in, or just like, just life lessons to like, anyone out there who's, might need the service that you provide.
One of the things that's most important is letting individuals know that they are not alone. Because in most cases, if they're experiencing stress, if they're not aware of it or they're aware of it, they feel like they're weak if they have to discuss that.
Uh-huh.
If they're experiencing anxiety, uh, they're afraid to discuss that. And if they're spiritually stuck, because I work with a lot of individuals who are spiritually stuck, they're afraid to talk about that because it feels as though somebody might say they lost their faith or never had any contact with their creator. And so I will reach out to your audience and say, listen, you're not alone. I've been there and I understand you. And there are others who will understand you also. And you just have to make yourself available
Uh-huh.
to and in prayer, in contemplation, meditation, hoping that the higher consciousness do lead you someone that can start a journey for you.
Huh.
So that would be the first thing that I learned. I had to be open. I had to be receptive. And I
That's
also
hard sometimes, man, to get that constructive feedback.
yeah, I know. And you have to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know, I tell everyone, I said, you can love only as much as you are vulnerable. Right? Because if I'm not vulnerable, my heart is not open, how will I be with another person in a relationship
Uh-huh.
if I'm not vulnerable? Because our systems know, just like right now, as you and I talking, my eyes are tracking your eyes naturally. You know, we're in agreement together. We're at a good pace of talking. So our systems are regulating each other right now.
Uh-huh.
And so those individuals who are out there, hopefully you end up around someone where your system would say, I think that person is okay.
Huh.
I think this might be an inroad for me. And it's going to be according to how they show up. And so that's what's going to be, so important on how to show up in life is by how you show up in your relationships individually and looking for those little signs that's saying it's safe because our system is always searching out for safety.
Oh yeah, you're right about that. That gut feeling is true.
It very true. And you know
Yeah.
what? You know why it's gut feeling?
Mhm.
It's because from a neuroscience perspective, our nervous system, the vagus nerve, which informs our entire system from the center of our brain to the where we eliminate, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, that system divides off into our facial expressions.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so just like you and I are conversing, we
Right.
trust each other, we know each other. Our systems at that gut level
Mhm.
is saying, Travis is okay. I'm safe in this environment. I can trust him with our conversations. I don't
Right.
see any malice intent. It's a real thing, gut. And another reason why gut, you've heard of serotonin,
Mhm.
serotonin that
Yeah.
calms us, where most of that is produced in the intestines, in your gut area,
Oh, okay.
right?
So gut feeling.
That's gut feeling. That's the reason why the senses bring it in, and then our system search it out to see is it okay. So gut feeling is a real thing.
Oh wow, wow.
Yeah.
So how can so if somebody needed your service or they wanted yeah, basically they wanted your service or how would they get in touch with you? Email or business or yeah, how would they get in touch with you?
Yes. Well, you can share my email address,
Mhm.
and then also I put a my LinkedIn information in the chat.
Okay.
You can drop me an email if they like, and I definitely will respond to that.
Are you on social media? I've never even paid attention to that. Do you have a social media page?
I don't, and that's what I'm getting ready to do. I used to have a social media page,
Uh-huh.
but I am pretty much getting ready to set up one because I am going to have an online course
Okay.
coming up. Yeah, a 6 to 8 week course, uh, going into like a deeper practical dive,
Mhm.
useful information that will explain this a little more, talk about spirituality, the neuroscience of spirituality, learning how when you pray, what's happening within your brain system, when you meditate, what's happening in your brain system, or when you
Gotcha.
contemplate, there are real neurobiological things happening within our systems, and you'll learn how to have access to those things. And
Okay.
then those are things that help you out, to help you with better sleep, lower your anxiety, gain more clarity, have nice insight. But the most beauty of all, be a better relational person, you know.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's becoming a whole well-rounded person inside and out. So,
Yeah.
I mean, does your business have a name, or is it just like your email and um um
Well,
the
well, what it is, my company is Stressless Moments.
stressless moments? Okay,
Yes,
stressless moments.
yes,
And then
yes.
so I'll make sure that everyone knows that stressless moments. And then what? Just go ahead and say your email. I'm gonna have it on in the link or whatever, but just go ahead and say your email.
Okay, it's mind body regulation at outlook.com. So it's MINDBODYREGULATION at outlook.com.
All right, guys, you all heard it. So if you all need anything, or if anything today sparked your interest, make sure you give him a shout out. As you all can see, he has a wealth of knowledge. We're gonna have to do, yeah, this is definitely gonna have to be a part two.
Yes,
Talking with
indeed.
her, because I mean, you just kind of had me intrigued. I mean, usually, it's a back and forth like dialogue, but I'm just kind of like, man, I'm more entertained and listening to you. Pretty good, man. It's a pretty good storyteller I could tell as well too.
Well,
So
thanks so much for inviting my. Hey, I love your show. I've been watching, as I say before, your YouTube work, and it's this is a nice platform, and the guests you're bringing on, and I'm sure it's going to help many more. And I'm hopefully today that it's been helpful. And before you go,
all right.
anytime I'm on or anything that I'm teaching, I'm going to leave your guests with something they can do right now to
Okay.
start putting a brake on their system if they're under stress or anxiety, okay, or dealing with some type of adverse situations, okay. So if you like, just for a moment, take a nice deep breath in and breathe out slowly. Deep breath in, feeling your stomach expand, and breathing out through your mouth. And one, you can remain with your eyes open or gazing in front of you, whatever's comfortable for you. Notice where your hands are now. Notice your sits bone where you're sitting. Notice your feet where they are. Just notice your system. Notice as it breathes in, and notice as it breathes out. Notice as it breathes itself. Breathing in, you know that you're breathing in, and breathing out, you know that you're breathing out. Notice that you're breathing in a little deeper, and notice that you're breathing out calm. And just notice your environment. If you like, you can just take your head around a little bit, looking up at the ceiling, going to the right, your left, letting your body system know that it's safe where you are now. In this moment, in this present moment, you're okay.
All right, that's what's
And
up.
so it is.
Yeah, that's what's up. I appreciate you coming on. And like I said, we're gonna do a part two because this was very informative, and I really enjoyed this. Like I always say when I sign off, keep it country, keep it cowboy, and God bless America. And thank you for coming out.
Thank you so much, and thank you for letting me get on the saddle today.
All right, I like that, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you
All
soon.
right.
Thank you
Yeah,
again. Have a
yeah.
great day, Travis.
All right.